Hello and welcome back to the Anime Happy Hour podcast. I'm Jonathan and I'm joined here today by my two co-hosts, our show's anime foodie himself, Kirkland,
Howdy.
and our obvious One Piece expert, Jake.
Howdy, howdy.
In case this is your first time joining us, we are the Anime Happy Hour podcast where every week we get together, we have a drink and discuss the world of anime and what's going on in it, while also sharing our thoughts and opinions on various topics from episode to episode. Before we get started, a few disclaimers. While we are an anime podcast, we are also an adult podcast, so there will be occasional swearing. We also discuss recent events and episodes of both new and old shows, so here's your spoiler warning ahead of time. Lastly, these are our own personal opinions. As I'm sure everyone here has their own opinion on the topics at hand, please refrain from getting too upset with our views on specific events of the show. We'd love to hear all of your feedback regarding to anything going on with our show, so feel free to hit us up on any of our social media or email. Just look up Anime Happy Hour Podcast on Facebook or email us at animehappyhour951@gmail.com. All right, let's get into the show. To follow along the theme with our happy hour here, we've all gotten ourselves a drink to enjoy while we hang out tonight. Kirk, what do we got poured up tonight?
So, because you introduced me last week as the whiskey, the resident whiskey drinker, I felt awkward not drinking whiskey. So now I have whiskey. It's what I like to call infinity whiskey. What I do is I have one empty glass bottle with no label or anything on it, and every time I open up a new bottle of bourbon or rye, I take a shot and I pour it into the infinity bottle, and anytime it gets close to full, I pour myself a glass of it, and every time it's kind of its own unique and matured flavor of different whiskeys, obviously.
That's kind of crazy. I actually thought about doing that with a few different drinks. We used to do that back in the day, but it's pretty much whatever we could get our hands on.
Well, it's not jungle juice. Like, it's it's whiskey. It tastes just like whiskey. It's a blend of bourbons, essentially. It's just the ultimate blend of bourbon.
Yeah, I got you. That's got to taste pretty good.
Oh, yeah, it's very nice, actually.
What about you, Jakey?
Well, I'm doing the good old gin and tonic again. Except this time, I'm doing Aviation Gin, which is owned by Ryan Reynolds. And Ryan Reynolds happens to be a fan of Stray Kids. K-pop plug.
Plug them until we get it, you know?
Yeah, check them out. They're a good band.
Yeah.
Me, lastly, I decided to go with a Smuggler's Notch rum. That mixed with a little bit of brisk iced tea on the rocks, and that's our drink for tonight. Switch it up a little bit. All right, so as far as our weekly episode updates, what have we been watching, and what do we got going? What are we keeping up with? Kurt?
So I guess I'll just go with what I watched today is Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but it's been pretty good, and they keep up with it, and it hasn't fallen off. So I'm pretty happy with it. I was keeping up with Peach Boy Riverside, but that kind of fell off for me. They kind of lost me mid-season, and I just lost interest in it. This Moonlit Fantasy, though, I mean, yes, it's another isekai. We're all watching them. I mean, it is what it is.
I love the fact that they make fun. They play at the idea of an isekai, though. At the same time, they throw shade at all the other big isekais.
Parody.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not. It doesn't take itself too seriously, but at the same time, it's not terribly animated either. Their fight scenes are still pretty legit. So.
Oh, yeah. And they do a very good job of subtly plugging in other shows as well. Did you guys watch today's episode?
No,
I'm one episode behind.
I'm just going to spoil stuff for you guys anyways. They introduced characters, and their names were Eris and Aqua, which, if you guys have seen Konosuba, that's I mean, that's where that's from. So did the characters match up to the names? We have yet to find out, but yeah, that's that. Jakey?
No, yeah, I definitely feel you on that. But yeah, what about you, Jake?
Well, I've been rewatching Darker Than Black. You guys ever heard of that?
Love that show.
Yep.
Yeah, it's really fucking good. It's a show that's kind of about the underground world of contractors, quote unquote, which are like supernatural assassins, Kirky.
Okay.
And the main character, Hay, is the like best of the best. And what I find cool about the show is like the power system. They're called contractors, so it's like they have to pay the price. That's essentially what it means. And there's so to get these like supernatural powers, you lose all emotion, and then you have to pay a literal price every time you use your power. Like it varies. So like some persons is like they have to break chalk, or like another person to use their power would have to like cut themselves, stuff like that. It's really interesting. It's really, honestly, like I like dark shows, and so it's right up my alley.
I'll give it a go. That's by I've heard of it before. It's from Bone Studio, right?
Yeah.
The same people that did like Soul Eater and Full Metal Alchemist.
Yeah, it was back. It came back out a few years ago. It's a little somewhat older of a show, but
yeah,
it's definitely a good one.
I believe it's also the same people that did Bungo Stray Dogs, which is oh wow,
I love that show too.
Yeah, that one's phenomenal.
Me, I am currently watching. I've only been watching 2 shows as of late. This last week's kind of been crazy with moving into the apartment and everything, so I haven't had too much of a chance to watch too much. But Tsukimichi, Moonlit Fantasy, obviously, it's a big one. I'm only an episode behind on that, but and then I'm sure as of both of you as of today have watched the new Slime episode.
Of course.
That dropped yesterday. Big spoiler warning here to anybody who's listening. If you haven't watched the new Slime episode, here's your warning. Can we talk about how sick this is about to be? This new fight between Rimuru and Clayman.
Dude,
I'm so excited.
I have no idea how this is going to play out, and I'm so happy that I haven't spoiled this with the manga yet. Like, I avoided it, and I'm very happy that I did. I was not expecting Veldora to just pop up out of nowhere and take a punch to the back of the head, and, like, I was just, ooh.
From Melium, and all he's got is, like, a little headache.
Yeah, he's like, ow, my head!
A full-blown punch that looked like a nuke.
Well, for instance, Rimuru knew that he was going to die, like, getting
from
punched
that
by
attack.
Milan. And then Veldora's just like, ow, me head.
He did say he
Just
had
knocked his
that
head on the top of it.
contract with Veldora to like summon him if he was in danger.
Yeah, so instantly I'm sure he probably recognized it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I'm sure the fight's not going to go as straightforward as we think it may. There's going to be a few twists and turns. Someone's going to make an appearance.
Just Veldora making an appearance, kind of. I mean, that's where they
huge.
ended it.
I'm surprised they packed as much into that episode as they did. I thought
I
we
didn't
were
expect him
definitely
to
going to
start
get
the fight.
Yeah, I expected a big cliffhanger going into that fight.
Like, they brought in the Ramirez's attendant there, the
Beretta.
Yeah, who used to be
Beretta.
an elder demon, which is kind of crazy.
which we didn't know.
So
We didn't know that ahead of time, correct?
No, we didn't know much about her other than the fact that she was just in the caves where they found her originally when he brought her back. But nobody knew her like actual backstory and character up until recently with Guy.
Did you guys watch any of the OVA stuff?
No,
I've not.
not yet.
Okay.
I usually go back and watch it towards the end, like once I finish a show or something.
What do you guys know about Diablo?
I know he's a primordial demon.
So, do you remember Guy Crimson saying, like, oh, I wonder what Nor's up to, like the Black Progenitor?
Yeah.
Well, what I was gonna add was I was surprised because I didn't know Guy was a primordial demon as well.
I believe that was previously
They touched
mentioned.
upon it. They touched upon it a few episodes ago when he was
I must have missed it then.
having a meeting with somebody just
With,
he was talking to Leon
Cromwell.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were touching upon it because him and Melium are like two of the
Strongest demon lords.
most powerful demon lords.
And
so,
the oldest, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But I can definitely tell this show is going to get crazy, especially within the next few episodes. Big fights and flashing back to the other characters you got going on and everything else. So it's definitely going to get interesting. It keeps you on the edge of your seat every episode.
Yep, absolutely.
All right. Well, with that, we're going to hop straight into our news for the week. We got a lot going on in the anime world. So, first one, Netflix is currently in the process of working on 80 different anime projects. All the shows are in various planning stages, with the most popular productions being science fiction, fantasy, and battle. I'm going to butcher the name. Yoshiki Sakurai, a well-known anime screenwriter and producer for shows and movies such as Ghost in the Shell, Yu-Gi-Oh!, and Blood Plus, who is working hand-in-hand with Netflix on these shows, and also revealed that over 1 million households around the world watched anime on Netflix last year.
Thank you, COVID.
Yeah, I know. What do we have our thoughts on this? What are we thinking? I mean, 80 shows is a lot of shows to be working on at once. I mean, Netflix is a big studio, and I know they're kind of diving in head first to the anime game, but
I'm curious to how many of them are legitimately Netflix exclusive anime. Because, like, you look at a lot of their quote-unquote Netflix exclusive anime, they might be funding 80 different anime projects right now, but I don't know how many of them are actually going to genuinely be exclusive and only on Netflix. Because having 80 anime projects is one thing, as opposed to actually having 80 Netflix exclusive anime.
Yeah.
well,
What I'm curious about is how many of them are going to be, like, anime only without source material like Cowboy Bebop, or how many are going to come from manga.
Yeah, I mean, they do have their own few shows that they've already kind of dropped, and I know that they do want to get in. They have a whole separate studio just to kind of be a part of the anime world like the bigger companies are nowadays. I mean, they got the funding for it. It's not like they don't have the funding and the means to go about hiring the right people to do it. Sakurai is definitely a big person to have in their corner, being such a veteran producer and screenwriter. It is kind of like a love-hate relationship, but I just don't want them to like mass-produce shows either. I'd rather have like a solid, good 15 to 20 like shows that they really can dig into than 80 that are kind of subpar. Given we really don't know the stages of each of the shows or whatever and the time frames on when they're all going to be released, but I do think it's kind of interesting that they got that much going on their plate and that they're really getting into all of this. Like Ragnarok. I mean, I don't know if anybody's watched that.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
That came out. I mean, that kind of blew up. It's kind of like an over-the-top animation and show, but it wasn't bad. They got a few good ones, but we'll
I've
see.
just seen the meme of the chick who has like servants holding her boobs up.
Oh yeah, there's always Adam is also another big person that always shows up when, like from the Bible. He was like a big character in one of those fights. I think it's cool. I mean, they have like the craziest fights that you would like never think to put together. Like you have Zeus fighting Adam from the Bible.
Yeah.
Or
It's like a nice combination of like just different mythologies colliding.
well, yeah, it's all the gods versus just people that were on Earth throughout history. So they just pick random people to fight from Earth.
I'm curious
against
as
these
to
gods.
see like if in future seasons if they introduce Jesus or something as one of the gods, seeing as how they introduced Adam, which is a biblical character.
Well, they introduced Adam as more powerful than Jesus and God, because Adam was the first.
Man.
Yeah, and he could copy any sort of move that was made by any other person ever. So every move that was made by his opponent, he could predict and do the exact same attack, but 10 times stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Which is kind of crazy. But
honestly, I'm just glad more people are opening up to anime off that household stat you had. I mean,
oh yeah,
there's a lot of stigma that goes with being an anime watcher, especially when you're younger. And
for sure.
You know, as soon as you realize that anime is not cartoons, like people in the West think of cartoons, it's just an animated medium for TV shows. It really changes the way you're able to view the shows.
Well, that's the thing. People don't think twice if you're watching when you're younger or even older. If you're watching a cartoon, if you're watching SpongeBob or you're watching even the old cartoons we used to watch back in the day, no one thinks twice about it. But as soon as you put an anime on, it's instantly like something crazy,
Yeah.
Completely change of character. But yeah, I mean, that stat alone just kind of shows the fact that there's so many more people getting into it. And I mean, even all these bigger companies are getting into it because they know how profitable it's going to be and how crazy it's going to be for people.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, so it's going to be interesting seeing all these shows come out, but we'll see.
I mean, I hope we get at least, Netflix puts out a lot of good shows, but they also put out a lot of bad ones.
Yeah.
I hope we get at least just a handful of like gems.
Really good ones.
Yeah, oh yeah, that'd be great.
But only time will tell.
Yeah, exactly.
Next item on the board. I know all three of us play video games, and Call of Duty included. They're kind of getting blown up on Twitter lately. Call of Duty has been accused of stealing screenshots from the Goblin Slayer intro for the new Notice Me anime packs that they sell in their store.
So I watched Goblin Slayer to verify this, and I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it almost couldn't be more blatant, which I'm surprised that Activision did that, because they're usually the ones that are butthurt about everybody stealing their stuff.
Well, it's not that it's blatant. It's literally the same exact picture.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, they just added a filter
it's
to
very
it.
blatant. Like, it's just, they throw a little filter over it, and they go, oh, look, it's fine.
They put it in Google Paint, changed a few things, and then called it their own.
No kidding. And it's very obvious that it's the priestess' eyes, which, mind you, I had to think about this, and it's been a while since I watched Goblin Slayer. They don't have names.
That's the point, yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah. But
They represent the generic characters.
Which is very D&D-esque. Like, you just have, like, the different classes and stuff.
Well, the whole like narration of the show is the gods of the world rolling dice like D&D. That's why they just have the names. Like, they are that type of character.
Which I love that they did that.
Yeah.
But, anyways.
I actually just watched the movie a couple days ago.
how was it? Yeah, really?
It was... Oh my god, dude. I mean, the animation style, I think... It's been a while since I've watched the show, but the animation style was a little bit different from the show.
Usually the movie the movie studios aren't the same as the show studios, so it doesn't really follow hand in hand usually with a lot of the TV shows.
Yeah.
But
I feel bad for people that gave up after that first episode.
Well, I mean, that first episode was brutal. I mean, if you don't, even for me, I did not expect going into that first episode for it to be as like between the gore and the just pure. It was brutal. I mean, with the priestess alone,
it makes you feel the
I just
feels.
think it sets
the tone for the world.
Yeah, why Goblin Slayer hates the goblins so much. Like, that first episode shows you why he is the character that he is.
Well, it's funny, too, because so many shows, even video games, nobody ever considers goblins to be smart, to be anything other than just like mindless dudes swinging a stick. But I mean, the fact that they incorporate things like rape or just like the sexual craziness and like physical abuse that they deal on certain people, and like the gang mindset that they have, is just kind of crazy because you never see anything in depth on goblins usually in any sort of show or video game.
Well, recently there was Full Dive, the anime. It was like Full Dive Ultimate Next Gen RPG.
Yeah, that's on the queue.
Yeah, it was actually really good, but that's another anime that they take goblins and they make the goblins like these ungodly, like, hey, have fun, like, this is worse than a final boss, but they also make it out to be like, this is a low-level creature, but they just make you think that the goblins are going to be nothing, and then all of a sudden they come, and it's like, oh, this is bad, this is terrible.
Strength in numbers.
No, not even strength in numbers, dude. The goblin, like, one goblin just fucks up, like, 10 or 15 people in this anime. It's hilarious, but it's actually a really good show.
Said it was Full Dive?
Yeah, Full Dive. The ultimate next-gen Full Dive RPG is even worse than real life. It has a ridiculously long name.
Yeah. It's what, on Funimation? Or is it Crunchyroll?
I believe I watched it on Funimation.
Yeah, that's what I thought I saw it on.
As much as I hate Funimation, like, you gotta watch some shows there.
Yeah, you gotta watch some on one, some on the other.
Funimation is gold. How do you feel about Funimation buying Crunchyroll?
Did they?
I'm hoping I get one subscription. That's how I'm playing
Yeah, they've already announced that they're combining. They're gonna get rid of like the Crunchyroll and Funimation and combine for like a single one.
I just hope to God that they keep the same
prices.
user platform that Crunchyroll has, because Crunchyroll is so much more friendly than Funimation. I also hope that, you know, it works as well as Crunchyroll does. Like, Funimation, I feel like 1 in 10 tries, like, my video just failed to load, failed to contact servers, this, that, the other thing. Like, I don't understand why I'm paying for Funimation. Like,
that happens to me on Crunchyroll, though.
Really?
Yeah. Knock on wood, I haven't really had many problems on Funimation. But
took me 10 minutes yesterday to get the slime episode to play.
I'm shook because I've never had any issues with Crunchyroll. Funimation's
I've always heard one way or another.
Existence.
But
I will say Funimation does it. Funimation is like that, but you know, I've had the same experience with Crunchyroll.
Yeah.
Now that we got a little off topic, I mean, back to the Call of Duty thing. I mean, I really wouldn't put it past Blizzard and Activision. I mean, they got the money and don't really care. But I also don't see this really going anywhere.
I mean, just out of respect as creators,
yeah,
I don't think it's that big of a deal, because literally all they need to do is just change it's not on any of the actual guns. It's just like the cover photo for the
all
pack.
You gotta do is put the Goblin Slayer logo in the corner or something.
Or just change the picture to something else. Draw your own freaking anime eyes.
Or, better yet, we just have a genuine crossover and Activision pays for the licensing and has real anime.
This ain't Fortnite.
Dude, if they came out with a Goblin Slayer skin,
dude,
I would pay hundreds of dollars for it, dude, honestly.
Take my money.
I mean, that's very much a Doom type skin.
As much as I hate
but it doesn't matter, dude. It's like they've had Rambo, they've had fucking Bruce Willis from forget his name.
Die Hard. Or not Die Hard.
Die Hard.
Yeah.
If we got a Goblin Slayer, that's a game changer.
Don't hold your breath, but
no, I won't. I'm just saying. I'm putting it out there into the universe.
Yeah.
Well, on to our next. The Japanese game, the My Hero Academia mobile game, it's currently only out in Japan, potentially coming out in the U.S. But they've already changed Momo's skin for her suit in the game because it was quote-unquote too revealing. According to some fans, Momo's character from My Hero showed a bit too much skin. Momo is a character who uses her body to create just about any inanimate object that she can pull right out of her skin. Often, she pulls it right out of the middle of her chest. But being a 16-year-old high school student, some people think that it was far too revealing of a hero's outfit and that it needed to be changed. The creators of the game did change her costume from the V-shaped cleavage outfit to a full covered suit. What are our thoughts on this? How do we feel about, I mean, everybody's going to get offended by everything that's going to happen. So
Yeah.
it was kind of inevitable.
I mean, there's far worse things in anime than Yaya Rozu's outfit.
Redo of Healer.
Yeah, let's not talk about that one. Oh God.
I mean, you don't even have to go into another show. I mean, do we want to talk? Talk about Namuri's outfit, her dominatrix outfit?
Oh yeah.
In My Hero Alone, I mean, a teacher with a whip.
Yeah.
I mean, but
I think,
being a high school student, I guess people saw an issue with it.
I think the problem arises with where My Hero Academia was marketed, because it's such a gray line between being an adult anime and being totally okay for children. And it's about high school students, right? And so the character design for Yaya Rozu, or Momo, like, she was designed that she creates things from, I believe, her body fat, correct?
Yes.
It's like the carbon in her body.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But she can pull it out of just about anywhere in her body. But
well,
often
as long as her skin's exposed.
Well, to create larger things, she pulls those out of her chest.
Because that's the most exposed skin.
Yeah. So now, like, I believe I saw the picture, and it's just they basically zipped up her V-neck. So what's the animation going to be in the game when she goes to create something? Like, she going to unzip it and then pull it out? Like, that's arguably worse in my mind than if she just had it open, because now she's just literally undressing herself to go fight somebody. Like, just leave it the way it is. Like, the character's already designed
probably
that
just
way.
phase through it or something like that. My thing is, Momo's suit is like, it's designed like that for a purpose. It's not needlessly sexualized like a bunch of other things in anime. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, the reason it's like that is, like you were talking about, that's where she creates her stuff. It's like that for a purpose. So it's not like, I mean, I don't know. Nowadays, everyone's going to find a problem with everything.
Yeah, I mean, I can play both sides of the fence here. I get it, but at the same time, it was written that way and created that way and drawn that way for a reason. It wasn't like some of the other characters that it was just naturally made to be inappropriate.
Yeah.
But I mean, I kind of feel like put both skins in there. I mean, if you got a problem with it, you change over to the skin that it's a video game.
That's actually
and it was
a good
already
idea.
drawn up. It was already drawn up either way. If you want the classic skin that was written that way, drawn that way for a reason, keep it on there. If you got a problem with it, switch the skin over.
Yep.
It's not. I mean, I'm sure that they're going to put other skins out for every other character in the game at some point, anyways.
Yeah, I mean, make a child friendly, like, because I've seen games before. Like, an example would be the survival game called Grounded. It's kind of like a Honey I Shrunk the Kids vibe, but they have a mode for certain individuals, totally unlike myself, obviously, for people with arachnophobia that can't deal with spiders, and it basically takes the spiders and turns them into like these gelatinous blobs that you just have to fight. And it makes it so people can still play with their friends and stuff, but in a likewise manner, have a children-friendly version of the app that parents can turn on and only they can disable with a password or something, where all the skins are child appropriate, I guess one could say.
Yeah.
Because, like, that's the other thing, too, right? Like, you literally have a hero in My Hero Academia called the R-rated hero, Midnight. Like, that's how she's known. Like,
Yeah, her whole style is just dominatrix.
Yeah, like, and her I'm pretty sure, like, when she fights Mineta, I think that's the only time we really see her fight. She literally tears her clothes so she can let go of her pheromones and stuff to, like, knock people out. It's like that you're telling me that's better than...
She's a teacher. She's not a high school student.
Yeah, no, she's a teacher. Yeah, yeah. so much worse than Momo just having a V-neck to pull shit out that she creates. Like,
yeah,
Midnight is literally a sexualized hero, intentionally, by design, and yet your issue is with Yayarozu having a low cut
and
top.
She's intentionally, like, perverted towards the students too.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I guess if we're going to stay on the topic of censorship, Dragon Ball Super got canceled in Argentina due to Master Roshi's character. It was taken off the air for quote-unquote symbolic violence. According to the Ministry of Gender, Politics, and Sexual Diversity, certain episodes of Dragon Ball reproduced the exercise of sexual violence by an elder towards a minor. Cartoon Network was the channel in question, and they also stated that they will proceed to edit future episodes of the show if the decision to broadcast Dragon Ball came back up in the future. I mean, what are we thinking on this? I mean, I don't. Master Roshi's always been Master Roshi.
Yeah, I have 2
hidden.
points of view on it. Yeah,
and nobody's ever going to
Roshi's-
deny it.
It's I don't know if it deserves to get canceled because it doesn't portray his antics in a positive light. But the fact that, you know, in Argentina it's portrayed on, it's shown on Cartoon Network, I get it because that channel is aimed towards kids. But like getting canceled overall, I don't agree with.
I'd like to point out that India is very well known for just canceling anything that has that type of content. They're very happy to just say, no, we don't want it. Like, that's far from the first thing that they've ever banned.
So my only gripe about the whole situation, I mean, like I said, nobody's ever going to question the fact that Master Roshi is who he is. But at the same time, when you're 8, 9, 10, even younger, how many sexual innuendos did you ever pick up on shows that you can go back and rewatch now at this point? I mean,
0. But have you seen those like compilations of things that only adults get about, like shows we watched as a kid?
oh yeah, but I mean, like Flapjack, SpongeBob, Codenames Kids Next Door, Ed, Ed and Eddie, all these are shows that are Chowder. All these are shows that had crazy like sexual innuendos and all this stuff that you would never even think to pick up on as a kid, that are so blatantly obvious that we could pick up on just watching it nowadays.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm sure it was some mom who walked into the living room and saw it on TV, where their kid watching it on TV and just caught it at the completely wrong moment and threw an absolute bitch fit.
Which, you know, watching anime and having your mom walk in is definitely a toss-up on whether she thinks
Is
it's
gonna
cool or throws a
approve
bitch
of it or
fit.
not.
Yeah.
I mean, I know, aside from Dragon Ball being banned in India, I'm fairly certain that Tokyo Ghoul was as well.
I mean, if they show Tokyo Ghoul on Cartoon Network, then there's an issue. But, I mean, yeah, even Dragon Ball Super is kind of questionable to be playing on during the day.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't go into too much detail, but technically Cartoon Network still owns the channel, but all these shows don't come out until later in the U.S. Like past 9 o'clock, it turns into
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim, and then Toonami
Yeah.
later on in the night.
Yeah.
But it's still owned by Cartoon Network. So I don't know if they're referring to... The article didn't go into too much detail on whether it was played during the day or happened to come on during the night. But I still kind of find it hard to believe that they're playing it in the middle of the day with all the violence and everything that comes with that kind of show. But they did also used to play like Yu-Gi-Oh and all that kind of stuff during the day on the CW.
Well, Yu-Gi-Oh was fine. Like, Yu-Gi-Oh and Pokemon, and, like, that's one thing. I mean, those are very obviously geared towards children, and there's not a lot of violence or references or any of that kind of stuff in there.
Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh, there was a few, like, drug and alcohol references, but there wasn't ever really anything super suggestive.
Oh, no, I mean, not, like, inappropriate-wise, but as far as, like, sexual towards it. But, I mean, there was definitely some violence and...
Yeah.
But then again, Codename Kids Next Door was the same thing. It was based off of fucking spies.
Even then, though, like, the violence in Yu-Gi-Oh was just explosions. Like the monsters would just explode. Like, it's not like there was a lot of, like... It's not like the monsters were ripping each other's arms off and this and that. It was just, poof, they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah, like Dragon Ball or any of that sort of thing. But
I'd argue that Pokemon is worse than Yu-Gi-Oh in terms of violence.
yeah. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it should be taken off the air completely. Maybe moved back into a later time frame or something. Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? It's still not playing. It's still playing in the U.S. at night. So whatever happens in the other countries happens in the other countries. So last but certainly not least, because I know Jake's gonna have a lot to input on this one. We're gonna try to keep it a little bit condensed for time frame reasons, but. One Piece is currently in its final stage of production, I should say. On September 3rd, the 100th volume of One Piece was released. The manga itself started back in July of 1997 and finally got to the 100th volume over 20 years later. With over 490 million copies in circulation today, a statement from the author, Ichiro Oda, stated he plans to end the series within the next 4 to 5 years and that he will have all the answers we've been looking for over all the years of us watching it. He's going to bring it to a conclusion, and we're not going to be disappointed. What do we think? I mean, obviously it's sad, but we had guessed for so long that when it was going to end and how long he was going to push it. And, I mean, his own words, he said 4 to 5 years. So
is it sad, though? Because, like, I think it's pretty exciting that One Piece is ending. Like, we've been waiting for this for how long? Literally our whole lives.
It's going to be pushing 30 years by the time it's done.
Yeah.
And knowing his writing style, it's going to be pushing close to 7 to 10 years instead of 4 to 5 years. But
I'm excited to find out the ending, but it is bittersweet that, like, that's the end of the time that we'll be in the world.
So that was kind of my backup question, too. I kind of had this jotted down as well. Do we think there's going to be a spinoff, like a Shippuden type spinoff?
No.
Maybe like a time skip?
Well, I say that, but Boruto's a thing, so...
Yeah, like them growing up with their own whatever.
Maybe.
So
you know what my favorite spin-off would be? Would just be Shanks. Instead of One Piece, just Shanks. I want to see
like a backstory.
Well, not even his backstory. I just want to see, like,
how he kind of went through what was happening with him while everything else was going on.
Exactly. Like, they've just been chilling, right? Like, definitely.
I mean, they've been busy. They've definitely been busy. And he's supposedly making a big appearance. All the big names are making an appearance in this final war arc. But Jake, what do we think? I mean, like you said, it's bittersweet, but at least we get to know. I mean, at least in our lifetime, we get to find out how it's going to end.
So as far as Shippuden's concerned, the New World is basically the Shippuden of One Piece. They just didn't create a whole other show for it. And I would both want a spin-off and not want a spin-off at the same time. I'd love more time in the world that Oda has created, but only, all caps, I don't know how to say that verbally, all caps, only if Oda writes it. Don't pull a Boruto on me.
Yeah, so I was also curious, do we think that he has like maybe another passion project he was looking forward to, or do you think he's just kind of ready to retire and just this is going to be his legacy?
I think he's, honestly, I'd love for him to have another passion project, and I'd be 100% down for it, but I think he would retire. Like, he started coming up with the concepts for One Piece in college, and look where it's at now. Like, that was probably 25 or 30 years ago. He'll end it in another 5 to 10 years. That's his entire life. He'll probably retire.
Yeah. I mean, go out with that legacy of being the guy who wrote One Piece.
Yeah. But
I mean,
the reason I wouldn't want a One Piece spin-off is because the only thing that's special, or the thing that's, I think, is the most special about One Piece, it's not only the world building, but the 20 years that we've spent with Luffy and the Straw Hats on their adventure for the One Piece. And I honestly don't think any other story could compare to that.
this is a little off topic. Can we take a second to talk about the fact that I was just woken up today to the fact that the time frame in this show is insane?
Yeah.
Like that video I sent you guys about the fact that the Dressrosa arc all happened within like 2 or 3 days of, like, it was 2 years the arc was out in our real world, but in the anime world it was only like a 2 or 3 day thing.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I mean,
the crew
yeah.
themselves have only been together for like not even a year in real life.
Yep.
In the show.
No, they've been together for longer than that.
Well, the time skip was 3 years, but as a crew, they were not together. They were only together for around a year.
So the time skip was 2 years.
2 years.
I guess yeah, because Luffy is coming up on 20, and he started when he met Zoro when he was 17. So yeah, I guess it's about
a
2 year time skip and a year together.
And then there was
right?
a year they were together. But I mean, we're pushing 21. We're over 21 years of the show being out, and it's just crazy the fact. And 100 volumes or 1,000 episodes, and they've only been together for a year.
Yeah,
It's kind of crazy to think.
Well, it is a grand adventure. I don't know, man. I never had a problem with it until right now when you said that. I don't have a problem with it. It is weird.
Because you just feel like they like develop so much.
Yeah.
And that they're so close. Like
everything they've been through, that's why they're so close. But yeah.
Yeah, but like, how much goes on in your life on a yearly basis?
Fair enough.
And everything that they've done through all of those episodes has happened within a 1 year time frame.
Granted, if we were on an adventure to find the One Piece, we'd probably go through a lot of shit.
Well, I mean, sailing alone takes fucking weeks.
Yeah. That's the best point, yeah.
Like, sailing, I mean, given none of the science actually makes sense in that show, but sailing itself takes weeks. So, I don't know. I just thought it was kind of a fun fact, something cool to talk about, but I guess we'll dive into our main topic, what we got in store for the week. We kind of picked some questions out from a handful of different forums and pages that we found on the internet, a bunch of anime related questions to see what we can come up with and what kind of responses we have. The first one, if you could choose any non-main character or sub-character from any sort of show to get his or her own mini-series, who would it be?
Gobta.
Gobta?
Yeah.
That was on my list.
It's Gobta.
Dude, I love Gobta.
I want to see all of his training with like Hakuro and the Goblin Riders, and I want to see like the Goblin Riders go on adventures and shit together. Like I want to see like them go on like their secret missions for Rimuru that like you don't know about, or just like I want to see their own sub series play up to something that happens in the real anime. And it's just like, oh my gosh, that's how that happened. Sick. Like I want to see Gobta succeed so bad.
So I felt like you were going to bring that up. That's why I didn't put Gobta on my list.
Yeah.
But, Jake, is that what you got too?
That is not what I have.
Oh, all right. What do we got?
So I take back what I said earlier.
Oh, yeah?
The one spin-off I would like of One Piece is Porcus D. Ace.
Okay. I
And
feel you
it
on that.
starts when he leaves Dawn Island, covers when he was the captain of the Spade Pirates, when he joins Whitebeard, and then all the way up until he meets the Straw Hats in Alabasta. So it's like Ace's journey.
Yeah, we got bits and pieces of it, but we never got any real...
Yeah, you could add all that up to like 5 minutes.
Yeah, oh, yeah. No, I feel you. That'd be a really good... I mean, because you can make it a handful of episodes.
Yeah.
Well, not even a hand. I mean, you could definitely make it into like a sub-series.
You could probably make a full, season or two.
Yeah, the way One Piece is paced, you could probably draw it out for a few years.
Yeah.
There you go. You should just email Oda, give him an idea to come out for what to do after he finishes up One Piece.
Yeah, I'll spam him.
All right, I got you. Mine was actually Irina from Assassination Classroom. She's kind of known as that super sexy undercover assassin who's worked all these crazy jobs before she made her appearance in the show.
Yeah.
In the classroom and everything. She kind of just reminds me of like a blonde version of Black Widow.
Okay,
but it'd be
I can
kinda,
see that.
It'd be kind of cool to see just like all these like crazy missions. I mean, you could make a literal Black Widow-esque TV show just following her, but as like in an anime. Because I mean, I just thought it would be kind of cool, especially because I like the way the hand-to-hand combat type of action they put in the show too.
Oh yeah.
The animation with it. So I feel like her character would be kind of cool to see. But that's cool. This is one of my favorites actually, questions wise. You get dropped into an isekai, but you're just an everyday civilian. You don't have any powers. You're nobody special. You just dropped in as you. That's who you are. You are who you are. Name one world that you love to be put into, and one world that you would never want to be put into. Kirk?
Is it specifically isekais?
Well, no. It's just technically your life is going to be an isekai because you're getting dropped into that world. So you can choose any sort of world that you would want to be dropped into or not want to be dropped into.
Yeah, I had to think about this one long and hard. I mean, it's not an easy question. It's so loaded. I mean, I wouldn't mind living in No Game, No Life. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
That's what I have.
Oh, really? That I think would be awesome. Like, just a world based around games, and like if you have to be the master of your game to beat somebody at it. Like, I think that's cool. Like, that's how you make your living. It's just playing things like chess, checkers, rock, paper, scissors. Like, I think that's an interesting concept. I'd love to see more No Game, No Life, which I think we are getting eventually. Ooh, excuse me. But And then one that I definitely want no part in is, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, Goblin Slayer. Like, I'm good.
God damn it, Kirky.
Sorry, Jakey. I mean, Goblin Slayer is just a shit show. Like, I want no part in that. Like, nobody in that anime has a good time, ever. Like, at all.
Well, I mean, Jake, seeing how you have the same two shows that you want to be dropped into, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, I'd want to be dropped into No Game, No Life, like Kirky said, because everything's decided by games. It just seems like it'd be a really fun world to be a part of. And as for Goblin Slayer, I would never, I love the show, but I would never want to be in that world. I mean, you couldn't even raise a family. I mean, there's always that thought that's going to be in the back of your head that, you know, at any point, me and my sons could get brutally murdered. And then my wife and my daughters will get carried off, repeatedly raped. And then once they're out of use for giving babies, they'll get eaten. Like, I don't think I have the mental capacity to survive in a world like that.
Yeah, it's kind of depressing. But, I mean, I did not have the same two shows as you guys as far as what shows I wanted to be dropped into. But first, I would want to be dropped into Food Wars, because I do like my good meals, and the fact that some of these shows or some of these meals that are prepared, the reactions alone from some of the characters, pretty much having orgasms, and their clothes just blowing off of them because of how good the food is. I'd pay to have that kind of experience.
Yeah, I feel
to have
that.
a meal that's so damn good.
You're just a bystander. You're one of the people sitting on the sidelines wishing you could eat that food, but you have absolutely no chance at eating it because you're just sitting there on the sidelines. You're not an actual chef or like a food tester or anything.
Yeah, but do you remember? I mean, the whole show started in the restaurant with him and his dad. I mean, that was just a regular walking down the street, you know?
Yeah.
I could just walk into the...
But that's a toss of the coin, whether you get the
diner.
good food or the peanut butter squid.
I mean,
This is true.
fair
You
enough,
could get
but,
peanut butter squid.
you know, I'll take my chances.
You're a tentacle guy?
I've never really been into the tentacle stuff, but, you know,
Yeah.
I'll flip the coin just for the potential good stuff. As far as the show I wouldn't really want to be dropped into, Attack on Titan was my go-to.
That's another good one.
I mean, I'm sure some people live completely normal lives. So maybe, sort of, as normal as it can be in a world like that.
Yeah.
I mean, across the ocean, the civilians were living fine.
Yeah, because they didn't know
Unless
anything
they
that was
were
actually
Eldians.
going on. Because, the regular civilians didn't know anything, what the difference was. They didn't know what was going on up until Aaron and everybody showed up and actually brought the fight to them, because they never dealt with any of the Titans.
Yeah, but they're always at war. Like Marley and the rest of the countries around that world are always fighting each other and at war.
Yeah,
that's
I mean,
true. You probably would have gotten conscripted into war.
Well, I was kind of basing it off of the original, seasons. Anybody who actually knows me knows the fact that I have the worst luck.
Yeah.
On a day-to-day basis. So, I mean, knowing me, I would...
You'd be the person who
probably
gets
would be
crushed by the piece of the wall that's kicked in at the beginning of the first episode.
I wish I was that lucky.
Yeah.
I'd be carried around with limbs missing and then eaten as a snack by some random Titan taking a stroll down the street in the middle of the chaos.
You'd be the first ever person that the Titans don't just eat, they turn into like a little toy that they play with.
Yeah, it would be brutal. So, I mean, it doesn't sound... I mean, even the fear of that potentially happening or seeing it happen.
Yeah.
And surviving it, and then maybe not surviving it next time would kind of get to me. Because those guys are huge.
Yeah.
And as a regular civilian, you don't have any sort of, I'm not Aaron.
I mean, you see
I don't have a
the
chance.
Survey Corps members in the first battle that they have, who have gone through this training, have mental breakdowns just from seeing the Titans.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, even the military doesn't know how to react.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
well, the worst ones is like the royal guards. They're on the inner wall,
Yeah.
like the wall rows.
Yeah.
They just don't care about anything. They're just there to be there and enjoy food and drink and hang out. Like,
They get to just sit on the edge and fire cannons at the one straggler that's kind of wandering around in the field.
yep.
But, all right. So, I mean, as far as our next question is concerned, do we think Sword Art Online's Nerve Gear is coming up in the close future? Do you think in our lifetime we're going to see something like that? As far as, if anybody doesn't know, Sword Art Online is a show that is based upon a full dive sort of VR experience, but the creator of the game happened to turn it into a life or death scenario to where you can't log out, and if you die in the video game, you die in the real world. So what are we thinking? Do we think that, we're going to have a full subconscious sort of dive into a video game at some point in our lifetime? Are we going to see it? I mean, VR is getting kind of crazy as is already.
I don't think we're gonna see it in our lifetime.
Yeah, no.
The brain is such a complex thing, and it's all electrical impulses and stuff. I think that we're going to see certain augmentations. Like, I think we'll see limbs like arms and hands and stuff in our lifetime that you can actually have articulated fingers and stuff that you can move, that are electronic and pick up on impulses and stuff. But I don't think we'll ever have anything like an actual nerve gear that works like within your subconscious and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I mean, if they combine certain things, I guess you could say. I mean, because they have those capsules that you can kind of go lay in to where it cuts out all like noise from the outside, and you're just kind of floating there and get into your own head.
Yeah, sound deprivation.
Yeah. And you're just like laying in the water, and you're very vulnerable mentally. And I mean, they're doing like the full body suits and everything at this point for VR.
Yeah, and I think you'll see a lot more of that. I think we'll see VR evolve a lot, which is virtual reality. But as with regards to like augmented
dive.
reality,
Dive,
like
yeah.
full dive, like I don't think we'll see that in our lifetime. No shot.
Yeah, if it does happen, we'll be too old to probably care about it.
You'll be too old to care about it. Fuck you. I'll do that the second it comes out. I guess that's kind of the other part of the
that's
question.
That's going to be my escape from my oldism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be a good way to die if you're like in your 80s.
Yeah, yeah, you just like, go in peace.
Hey, yo, Kirkledinger, why'd you log out? Are you getting back on? Joke's on him. I'm dead.
For real. So our last question, as far as this goes, we got one more question, and if there was one show that could actually become a decent movie, live action, what would it be? Because I mean, we have a lot of terrible movies that came out that are live action for anime. I mean, we're talking Bleach, we're talking Full Metal Alchemist, we're talking Attack on Titan. We don't even want to talk about Dragon Ball, but if there's one movie that you'd want to see and that you think could be adapted well into a live action, what would it be? Kirk?
If I could see anything, yeah, this was these are all loaded questions that I mean I read ahead of time. I was kind of sort of prepared for it. Now that I'm being asked it again, it's like What do I want as a live action? Nothing.
There's a lot that you could really kind of, yeah.
They're all none of them, because they're all terrible. None of them. What came to mind first is something that doesn't have a lot of fantasy aspects to it. Maybe something a little bit more sci-fi, with just like humans and stuff, no monsters. So the first one that kind of came, not first one, but one that came to mind that I think would be a very cool live action adaptation would be Psycho Pass.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I would like that.
I didn't really think about that one. That'd be really cool.
Kind of like in the vein of what is it? Like the better with Scarlett Johansson.
Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah, the better version of like Ghost in the Shell.
Which the live action Ghost in the Shell was good.
Yeah, I know, but
It wasn't great, but yeah. Pretty much, yeah. I could see a live action Psycho Pass being phenomenal.
yeah. I'm a big fan of Cyberpunk. I would love it, honestly. And I love Psycho Pass, so I would love it, honestly, if they would do that. And do it right.
I mean, yeah. For the live action, they'd probably have to cut back on a lot of the gore and stuff, but
Yeah.
I still think it would be a phenomenal live action if it's done by a good studio and stuff.
Well, I mean, that's a Netflix one right there that you can leave all the gore in for anyways. You know?
Yeah, but I don't know how it would look if they try to CGI people literally exploding.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent. I mean, there's a lot of action studios that do that.
Yeah.
That have done that. I mean, Suicide Squad. I mean, alone. I mean, if we're talking some newer movies, Suicide Squad just did that.
Mm-hmm.
They're good at that. But what about you, Jake? What show were you thinking about?
Well, I went kind of along the same lines as Kirky. Like not no monsters, just people and sci-fi. Mine's Steins Gate. I recommended that one a couple episodes ago. It's like it has an incredibly intricate and intelligent time travel system, and it just takes place in modern Tokyo. You wouldn't require any CGI. It's just a bunch of like friends inventing time travel in their apartment type deal. All you need is good actors and a good set.
So I'm kind of following right along you guys to an extent, but I'm also following along you, Jake, even more. I know you're going to enjoy this one, but Tokyo Revengers.
Oh, yeah.
Shocker.
That's such a grounded show as far as like its roots and like the realism that could be easily depicted into a live action. Being time travel and everything.
Mm-hmm.
You can easily do time travel, reanimated into live action. And I mean, even all the fight scenes, none of them are like crazily, there's nothing outrageous, no powers, no huge audacious attacks and crazy stuff. It's just straight up high school kids fighting in a parking lot, street fighting.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is, and I 100% agree with you here, John, the only thing I would say is, if it were live, it works animated, but if it were live action and someone got hit in the head with a pipe and got up and kept fighting, I wouldn't believe it.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough. Plus, like, some of Mikey's attacks would be kind of interesting to see, like, and in live action.
Like his nuclear kick.
Yeah, just like jumping up with his hands in his pockets and just stomping somebody's face in midair.
Yeah.
If I were to go more of a fantasy route with a live action, my first pick would probably be Full Metal Alchemist. I think that would be a really good live action because there's not a whole lot of monsters and stuff. There is some powers and stuff, but it's not anything that I think would be overdone with CGI. Like, it's all pretty...
So here's the thing, Kirkland.
I agree, John.
Yeah.
They did that.
There
was terrible.
Nina wasn't a thing, was it?
I don't know if it was the action. I don't know if... Or the actors, I mean. I don't know what it was. There was just so much wrong with it. that I just was not a fan of. Yeah. Don't watch it.
I would love to
Pretend it never came out.
Here's part of it is that we're like, I want an American movie studio, like a Hollywood studio, like well known, with a
To
real
cast
producer to
yeah.
do a live action of something, because then it would be more successful. I mean, I don't know why there isn't any of that. We got a fucking live action of Sonic the Hedgehog that went viral instantaneously because they made the ugliest fucking hedgehog on the face of the earth. And then they're like, all right, we'll change it. And so everybody went and saw the movie because they changed it. But, like, Sonic the Hedgehog can blow up for a movie, but fucking we can't get anything else to. We got Detective Pikachu. That was a good show. I mean...
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it does come down to licensing and everything, too. Which... Getting into these bigger these bigger name studios, like Netflix and like Cartoon Network and WB, all these people kind of getting into the game, can bring that more into the U.S. Western market to potentially make halfway decent ones. I did want to touch upon it real quickly. Jakey, what are our quick thoughts on how are we going to feel about a One Piece live action? Because that's in the works right now.
So I was hoping you would ask, because I just recently saw Shang-Chi, the new Marvel movie.
Yep.
And so first off, I'm all for a One Piece live action until they fuck it up, and then I'm not for it. You know what I mean? But the way, and granted, I don't know the difference between their like budgets and everything, because Netflix is very good with having a big budget, but Disney's next level. I'm trying not to. I won't spoil anything about Shang-Chi, but the way one of the fights in the movie was handled gave me hope, CGI wise, for the live action remake of One Piece. That's all I can say about it, because it's Marvel. Don't want to spoil anything.
Yeah. I mean, we can hope, and let's just hope that the pictures we've seen of Chopper are not real.
Oh my god.
Because it just looks like a crack addict. But all right, so that's kind of it for our questions and everything that we got going for today. We're kind of in the wrapping up process of the episode. We want to end off the episode like we do every other episode, the random show recommendation from each of us, and kind of just a little blurb on what the show is about, and kind of give our thoughts on it. Maybe it's something that you guys will pick up on and want to watch in the future, and maybe it's not. Maybe it's not your style, But we like to throw out our recommendations, and I guess I'll start it off with Taboo Tattoo. I don't know if either of you guys have seen it.
Seen like the first half. You tried to put me on it. It's really good. I just was watching a bunch of shows at the same time and watched something else.
And then I told him, slime is slime, and he said, no, fuck slime, and then I said,
Here
really?
we are. Yeah, I mean, it's only 24 episodes. It's kind of based off of these tattoos, and each of the tattoos are ancient weapons that enhance your physical abilities. And it's based off of character Sigi, who saves a guy from some street punks, and the man gives him a strange stone as a token of gratitude, which gives Sigi a mysterious tattoo on him. And his power is, he's the main character, so it's OP. And it kind of just draws him into this huge world of these tattoos and this war and battle going on between these really rich guys and everybody else, and kind of like a big power struggle. It's kind of gruesome, but it's actually a really, really good show. If you you can sit through it. So that's kind of my recommendation for this week. Jake, what did you bring to the table this week?
So mine is Gate.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of a fantasy world. Opens in the like a gate to a fantasy world opens in the middle of Tokyo, and the JSDF, the Japanese Self Defense Force, has to like go into this world and judge whether they are like threats or not. And basically, like the sentence that would describe this show the best is just imagine tanks fighting dragons, and that's pretty much what the show's about.
Yeah.
The thing I really like is the main character Itami is the reason he's so dope is because he's just a normal guy who works for the JSDF. You know, he's not like some super powered ultimate badass character. He's just a normal dude who's good at his job.
Yeah. I mean, it's been on my queue for a while, so
Watch it.
I might have to crack into it. Yeah.
It'll change
I
your
have to crack into it.
perspective on isekai.
I mean, I'll dive into that, and you'll have to finish off Taboo Tattoo.
I was actually, as you were doing that, thinking about, like, I'm going to turn that on after this.
Yeah, reconvene in a few weeks.
Yeah.
What do we got from you, Jake? Or from Kirky?
So my plug is gonna go back to my live action that I want is Psycho-Pass. It's like a sci-fi like thriller essentially. It's kind of like a crime anime a little bit. Essentially, it takes place in like this cyberpunk world. Yeah. And it's just essentially everybody has like a number applied to them, and there's like this computer that just measures everybody's number and brain,
their sanity level.
Yeah, I think they call it a cymatic scan, and that's called your Psycho-Pass. And it's, you get like a crime coefficient, and basically there's a division that goes around and they'll stop you before you commit a crime, and if your Psycho-Pass number goes beyond a certain level, they're just going to execute you and stuff. But they have the people that are going after the people that their Psycho-Pass numbers are high, like they have a gun, and it changes modes based on what the person's Psycho-Pass number is. So it could be lethal, it could be not lethal, it just varies. But that's an older anime. It came out in 2012. I believe it's all available on Netflix right now. It might also still be available on Crunchyroll. I know it was last month because I had rewatched it recently.
Yeah, it's on Funimation too.
Oh,
yeah, I think it's on all the big ones.
It's kind of like an anime version of Minority Report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason I plugged that one is that it's pretty good for I'd say a second anime for somebody to watch. The reason I don't say first is because it is pretty dark, but it has a lot of, I guess, similar to real television ties. There's a lot of psychological aspects to it. Gets your brain thinking, and there's a lot of crime aspects to it, which I know everybody and their brother watches, because Blue Bloods and
yeah, all the live action
Special Order, and just all the crime shows and stuff. But so that's my plug for this evening.
All right. I mean, that's a good show to put up there. I'm a big fan of it. So I guess that's gonna kind of wrap us up for the episode as far as what we got going on. That's episode 3 of the Anime Happy Hour podcast. Feel free to reach out to us with any suggestions, questions, concerns, or any kind words. We're still a new episode or a new podcast, so we're always looking for input. As the episodes go on, we're going to get our legs for the whole podcast world, and we hope everybody kind of sticks with us. Feel free to contact us anytime via Facebook at Anime Happy Hour Podcast. Just look for our logo. We'll have the same logo as the podcast itself. And you can also reach us at our email, animehappyhour951@gmail.com. We're also currently streaming on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcast, and soon to be Apple Podcast. We are also in the process of setting up a YouTube channel with potential live streams in the future, maybe. That's going to kind of wrap it up. Thanks for joining us tonight, and till the next time, we'll talk to you guys later.
See ya.
Peace.
Bye.